Even every apologies for being slightly late. I had a wee bit of technical mishap. I couldn't work the camera, but however. But a very warm welcome to everybody coming in, and a big welcome back to, well, in our opinion, UK's #1 paranormal team and programme, the Haunted Hunts UK. Unfortunately, Becky can't be with us tonight, but we do hope she will watch us back at some point. So tonight we've got for you, ladies, first we get Emma and Rox, and then we'll get the gentlemen, Danny and Charlie. So thanks very much for coming back to see us, guys. How are you all?
Good, thank you.
Yeah, good. Great, thanks.
What can I say? Season 4, you raised the bar this time. It was absolutely amazing. I know all the other series that you knew where you were going, but this time it was just a postcode and a random text, and that was it basically. Yeah. And I think it worked. I think it totally worked 2000%. When the concept of season 4 came up, when it was put to you, how did you feel about it?
Dan, do you want to answer this one first?
I think we all felt the same, really, apart from Charlie. Charlie was really excited for it. Yeah, I didn't know what to expect, really. I think, Rox and Em and Becky were the same. I'm sure you guys will agree with me that none of us knew what to expect. But yeah, I think this was Charlie's sort of moment, really. This is the type of thing he's really into. So I think out of all the team, he was probably the most excited, and the rest of us slightly nervous and didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely.
Nick and Alice had a lot to do with it. Where did they get the idea from?
It was sort of a joint idea that we were discussing this time last year. Obviously, we'd had such a successful season 3 at Pendle Hill, but it was time to try something more different, really. Obviously, people have got used to that sort of journey format that we had out over the last couple of series, and it was time to change it up a little bit and do something that no one else is really trying, and probably test our skeptical side again, and go back to our roots on how we first started. But yeah, it was just a really interesting experiment, and we kind of all agreed that would be the right way to go, and see how it worked out.
Excellent. So the first you started off at Silver Mountain. So first day filming, the text arrives. How did you feel? Were you worried?
It was cold.
Very cold.
Right there, pretty cold. I think some of us almost slipped over getting out of our cars. But it was such a beautiful location. For the first episode, season 4, Nick and Alice did pull that location out of the bag.
It was something completely different, really. We're used to that sort of location, so it was really good doing something different for the first episode.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Emma, how did you feel about it?
I was nervous because when I arrived, I thought, oh my God, this is caves. They're going to do really horrible things to me here, and they did.
As I've watched, I say that to Charlie and Rox just when they first came out of the studio. I feel like for the past week, that's all I've seen is you guys, because I've been watching it constantly, basically. I think I've watched it 4 times over now. And each time I watch it, I keep picking up on little bits and pieces. Because you had 10 locations. You'd Silver Mountain, Tivoli, the Ivy House, the 4 Crosses, I'll try and say it, Agrington Court. I'm going to try and say this one properly. Lanny Fillin.
We can't say that, we're Welsh. The workhouse, yeah.
That's easier, isn't it? The workhouse. Cannock Chase, and then Gresley Old Hall. So obviously, as I say, it was a totally new experiment for you. No, you didn't know where you were going, so you went to Silver Mountain. You were just basically lone vigils. Every one of you's got a turn down in the tunnels or the mines, whatever you want to call it. How did that feel for you? Knowing you were down there totally alone in the dark, not knowing any history to that location.
I'm going to answer this one because mine was a horrendous place. So where I was put was to get down to where you see me standing, you have to like crouch down and almost crawl through this tiny little tunnel to get to this open space where I was. And then there was no access to the caves sort of in front of me. They were all closed off, but they decided to put my lone vigil camera right behind me so that when something bad really happened, I had nowhere to run. I was literally stuck where I was and I couldn't go anywhere and I couldn't escape. And that's literally my worst fear. So being down there and just going down to where my location was, I thought, oh my God, this is just horrendous. And then when I saw the camera was behind me blocking my only exit, it was awful. It was awful.
Yeah, I enjoyed the bits because you were put in quite a few different spots, different locations. That there wasn't any kind of easy escape.
No.
You know,
every single place in Silver Mountain where we were put, we were so far away from each other, like literally because of the weather as well. If one of us were to get spooked or run out of our area, you couldn't go nowhere.
No.
It was like, so you literally couldn't go nowhere. I think that's made it worse. Like Emma said, there was no exit. There was nowhere to run.
I quite enjoyed that. I do apologise. I've got to be quite honest, you know. Today you moved on to Tivoli, the old pub kind of theatre house sort of thing, and you didn't really get a lot there, a lot of activity. How did you feel about the amount of activity? Because you know, I watched the guy telling the story, you know, at the start of before the investigation. What was your feelings about Tivoli?
It was quite quiet. I think there was a few bits that me and Bex had in the old theatre part where we had the REM pod going off and, you know, the atmosphere was dropping, but that was just minor. Do you know what I mean? Throughout the whole night, I think each and every one of us have done our own visuals. It was like we came back.
I didn't
with
like
nothing.
my area though. I didn't like where you had that with Bex. That was horrible on my own. It was absolutely pitch black. And literally when I got told, oh yeah, you've got the worst area, I was thinking, oh, it can't be that bad. And then when I got there, I was like, no, I don't know whether I can actually physically sit here on my own for that long.
Mm-hmm. So, well, also, as you just say, you were all doing your own vigils, and you were either sitting in the cars or, you know, somewhere out the way waiting for your turn. See, when you were waiting for your turn, was it excitement or were you hoping that, you know, I was never going to... You know how I feel when you're a kid and you go to the dentist and you're sitting in the waiting room and you hope that your turn never comes in, you know?
That was me every episode.
Well, I mean, like, on the first few episodes, I think it was only the last one where we were actually waiting, because all the other time we were all off doing it sort of at the same time. But certainly, for Gresley Old Hall at the end, as we were all sitting in the cars waiting to go in, that was really nerve-wracking.
I was the expressions on your faces when you were reading the envelopes, you know, when you got the envelope and you were reading the tasks and what have you. I was watching everybody's faces, you know, especially the eyes, Emma, you know. There was quite a few times your eyes told the story as if, you know, I'm a beep doing that.
Yeah.
No chance. Am I doing that? Am I right?
Pretty much every single location we went to, and especially the last one where they decided that because of the way I'd reacted during the whole series that they put me in 2 lone vigils. Like, there was a lot of swear words during filming, put it that way.
Emma will never do a lone vigil again.
Nope.
I remember your words well, Emma. You know, never, 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 ever, 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 ever am I doing a lone vigil again. I remember those words quite well.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about the double vigil, Emma, when I come on to Gresley Hall. Martin's got a question for you. I'll pop it up just now. I do apologise, folks, if my picture's a bit wobbly. I've had to swap over to my phone, so that's why. How do you go
which
about
investigation was that?
How do you go about
health and safety on that investigation? Not criticism, just wondering.
Oh, about the mines.
The mines.
We were
the mines. Yeah, that was. There was a guy there who sort of told us what we could and couldn't do, and obviously the areas where we had to wear a hard hat. But in the end, I think everyone just ended up keeping the hard hats on throughout the entire thing anyway, because it was just the easiest thing to do. But the guy, obviously, who was featured in the beginning of that episode, I've forgotten, Simon, I think his name was. When we arrived on site and obviously did the big envelope scene after that, which obviously you don't see on camera, is him giving us a big health and safety sort of briefing on that. And in terms of the whole COVID situation, we were all in a bubble anyway, so there was a lot of self-isolating going on at the start of the year. But Project Invocation, it took pretty much all year to film. It was really, really slow. So in the end, we kind of moved out of all restrictions anyway into the summer, so it wasn't so difficult then.
I'm trying to get through. I know we're kind of limited for time, so I'm trying to get through all the locations that you went to, because they were quite varied, the locations, which I thought was good. It wasn't, you know, like 6 old castles or something. They were all really, really varied and different locations. You then moved on to the Ivy. I found this really good, how you were split up at the Ivy House.
That was a scary episode, Ivy House. Watching you three in that house, I'd love to actually go back with you guys to film an episode of Extra or something, because what you three, obviously I had the privilege of watching it in the edit, but you three, Jesus, it just seemed like a whirlwind in there.
It just kicked off from whenever we walked in, didn't it? It was, you know, even when we were there, we were setting up, you know, you could hear dragging, banging, footsteps, you know, even chattering, like whispering. And we actually did think there was somebody in that house. And we had to check upstairs and check around to make sure that there was no one else in that house. And I think, you know, Emma had a really weird experience there, which I'll let her tell you about it. But for me, I think it was when I'd done my lone vigil upstairs in the satanic room, where they'd had a hand-drawn ritual sign on the floor and 666 on the wall. When I had the spirit box going, it was the DVP of like a woman screaming or like crying out. She's in pain. And for me, that was just amazing. It was just, you know, because it didn't come through the spirit box. You could actually hear it in the distance, as if it was almost out in the hallway where we were hearing a lot of the activity through the night.
Because Emma, which I like to ask you about, there was a painting. Also, it's not there, a drawing. Sorry, it's not there anymore. But you described that drawing quite accurately.
Yeah, that was something that I've never experienced before, and it was as soon as we got into the house, I just had this picture in my mind of this man and this woman, and at first I didn't think anything of it, just sort of brushed it off. But then during sort of the whole sort of sessions, I just couldn't get out of my head, and I had to say something. But when I did my lone vigil, I didn't feel uncomfortable, which was a first for me, because in the first 2 episodes, obviously, they were just horrendous. And I was really worried about that lone vigil in that house, purely for the fact of this image. But when I was in there, it was almost like I didn't hear anything outside of that room. And I know that there was activity going on out there, but I didn't hear it and I felt quite safe. But I couldn't get the image out of my head and the feeling that the woman that I could see was really, really, really angry. But I didn't know why. I just could feel that she was really, really mad. And then I told Rox about the image that I had, and she was like, that's a bit strange. And then obviously when we went back to sort of the drawing board and was like, oh, about Ivy House, now we can tell you about it. And obviously I was shown the picture. That's exactly the same image that I had in my head. And it was something that I've never, ever experienced before and haven't since. But very interesting. What you make of it, I suppose, is down to the individual, but it's definitely a strange one for me. It's not something I've experienced before.
You saying you felt quite safe in that room? This is going to sound a silly question, but every time I've watched it, and you do seem quite, not quite calmer in there than you did everywhere else. Did you feel any kind of, if you were drawn to that house or familiar with the house, or?
It was a strange one, really, because I didn't feel uncomfortable as a house in general. I didn't feel like I was sort of frightened in there. But I mean, places like that, I'm always a bit unsure about anyway, just me personally, not even paranormal wise, just derelict buildings are always a bit creepy. But I think compared to the other locations that we did, that was probably the only location where I went into and left feeling okay, feeling like that was okay. And it was strange, really. And whether that would be because of the image that I saw, maybe that was being portrayed that way, and that's why I didn't worry in my lone vigil or anything like that. But even leaving that house, I felt quite comfortable then. I'd quite happily go back to it. But yeah, it was very different to how I felt on any of the other locations.
It just seemed to happen all at once, especially when the three of you were at the top of the stairs in the top landing, wherever it was.
Yeah.
It just seemed to kind of kick off at that particular spot. Did you ever find out if the story of the man was true?
No. There's not much documented about it.
What he's meant to have done. Charlie, Andy said...
I did see it. Cheers, Andy.
I think that was maybe the reason behind season 4, Charlie, to try and break you.
Yeah.
Do you know what? It was a really interesting season and format, the way, Nick and Alice went about things and done things for us. It got me really excited because it's something that we've never, ever done before. And I know, Dan said, some of them were nervous and quite apprehensive where we were going. But to me, it was almost like when you're on that school trip for the first time and you're like, oh, we're going here, we're going there. And so you didn't know that. So it's the excitement of what you're going to see, what you're going to find. And, everybody knows that I love that type of stuff. I really do love investigating and the paranormal. It fascinates me, really does. So for me, going to every different location that we'd never been to before and not knowing anything about it was really intriguing. So I think to see my boundaries pushed was really me recognizing something about myself and my limits as well.
Yeah. How did you feel about the splitting up bit? Because obviously you had no idea that was going to happen. You told by text. How did you all feel about the 3 here, 2 and 2 are going elsewhere?
I think when we received that message giving us a postcode and it was just basically me, Emma and Rox, it was like, oh, right.
Shock, like, what else
oh shit, yeah. What's this about? Like, have they forgot to mention Bex and Dan? What's going on? And, are they too scared? They pulled out. Yeah, so it was like, oh, right. So they must be putting us somewhere that is really bad. And you know what? It turned out to be a fantastic location. Now, whether that was because it was a smaller group as well, it felt like it could be more intimidating to us. Who knows? But it was a great idea the way they done it as well. And I think that would be the same for Dan and Bex.
It was really ingenious the way done it. Dan, I've got a question for you. It's from Andy Murphy, and Charlie will know the background to this question.
The good old vest.
That vest gives me the creeps every time I see
Emma
it.
loves that
Give
vest.
me a ghost any day.
We were on a live, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago or whatever, and we weren't poking fun at you, Danny. Swear to God, we weren't. But one thing I did say was, nobody ever sees you taking anything out of the vest. So
because I always forget to put stuff in it.
I think the best. I think it is good, but I think the best time we've ever seen Dan use that vest, mate, was at Denby Asylum, and we had people on the grounds, and we pretended he was security, and they actually left.
Seriously?
Yeah.
God, it was a fair few years ago, that one.
Yeah.
So what is in the vest, Danny? What is
like I said, honestly, sometimes I just put it on at the start and I actually forget to put, because you can ask the guys, I'm like a madman when we come to filming. I'm constantly just rushing around, making sure everything's perfect. But, you know, stuff like torches, batteries, other bits of equipment are going there. And to be honest, I use it more on Paranormal Capture than I actually do on the Haunted Hunts. I've given up using it on some of the episodes of the Haunted Hunts now because I just forget to either put it on or forget to put stuff in it.
It's his
I'm
super
sick and tired of Emma taking the piss.
I think it was the best that when we done an extra. Was it the old King's Head?
Oh, we couldn't stop laughing.
I had to see we were discussing it a week or two ago, and it popped into my head, and that's why Andy's bringing up. So I hope that answers Andy's question. Sarah's asking, did you all prefer this format to previous ones?
No.
I think Pendle and Chester will always be our highlights. The journey format. I think that was a great format to what we've done. You can
invest the whole time in it. You can invest everything.
And we've always heard Dan's always said, his favourite place is Chester to go to because of the historical background of things, and I think that's what brings it out, the history of these locations and what's gone on. With Chester, the old buildings and how they link together through different people. Do you know what I mean? Which is amazing. And then again with Pendle, you've got the Pendle Witch Trials, which was our journey format we went down, which was just fantastic. And the evidence we got that we didn't think we would actually get was mind blowing.
I will admit, also I love all your stuff, all 4 seasons and Codno, but Pendle, I said this to you, Charlie, Pendle will always be my favourite, but as I say, everything else you do is, everything else is brilliant, but Pendle is, to me, my favourite so far.
I think Pendle hit home with a lot of people because I think it's one of those iconic locations that is so mysterious and it throws up such this unique storyline to it. And, we said it time and time again, it sucks you in that place. And I think a lot of people in the paranormal all have the same kind of feeling about Pendle. It's one of those locations that everybody loves. So, I think the timing of when we did that and the way we sort of covered it, like it's never been covered like that before. And I think just people fell in love with it, and that's why it was so popular. And I think, it will always remain the most popular series.
I totally agree that with Pendle, we've covered Pendle quite a wee bit as well, and it's just a totally iconic, and it's just such a fascinating, tragic, it is a tragic story, but it is such a fascinating story, with the whole trials and everything. Danny, Stephen Webb's asking, do you carry a spray or taser in your vest?
Yeah, no, I carry a tranquilizer to shoot Charlie in the leg when he's getting a bit hyper on location.
Charlie needs to calm down, both.
Yeah.
Calm him down a bit. So right, Danny, it was you and Becky's turn to go somewhere yourselves, and yous ended up at the Four Crosses, which is near Cannock Chase, if I'm correct.
Yeah, yeah.
How did you feel about the Four Crosses? How it went for you there?
Well, to be honest, I thought we were going to Cannock Chase when we got the postcode, but when we actually arrived at the Four Crosses, we knew about it already. We knew of the location. I think it's quite a famous one in the UK. Yeah, I was quite excited for that one, really, because when you get in there, it's quite a comfortable place, a very sort of warm, nice atmosphere. It's not really scary. I think obviously Beck had the short straw getting put down in the basement on her own. But to be completely honest with you, it was just a nice investigation, sort of a really quite relaxing one. There was nothing sinister there or anything like that. So I guess Nick and Alex could have pushed the boat out more with the location, but it was a nice contrast between what these guys were doing at Ivy House, which obviously did have the scare factor to it.
There's one. No, I've watched the episodes over and over again, so there's a couple of wee bits I get mixed up. Was the Four Crosses the bit where you were sitting and you said you felt totally relaxed, chilled out, that you could have a drink?
Yeah, yeah.
I found that quite straight, because you did seem just kind of as if you were sitting with your mates in a pub on a Friday night.
To be honest, sort of putting a bit of a skeptical spin on it, that room up in the attic was really quite warm. It was really cozy up there, and I just felt really sort of chilled out. And I'm guessing that could have been why, really, just sort of when you get warm and cozy, you get chilled out. Nothing scary was happening. So yeah, that's probably why I felt like that, to be honest.
Because a couple of times I thought you were going to kind of nod off, just like totally chilled out.
Felt like it.
So then you moved on to I can't say the word. The next bit. The Accrington Court, which was a totally different location yet again. The cells, I'm particularly interested in the cells, because when you were reading, the instructions, Dan, and you're saying so-and-so's going to the cells, I saw that again, the faces, and I think somebody says, I hope I don't get sent to the cells or something.
I think back in, Emma had the short straw really in where she went, but it turned out to be quite quiet in Em's section. But then obviously Rox and Beck had the most active area then in the end, which just proved to be unbelievable.
Mark's got another question for you, but I'll just see, because I'm using my phone, the comments are a lot weird, so if I'm missing everybody's comments, I do apologise, folks. I'm used to having it on my screen. If you travel anywhere in the world, where would you choose to investigate?
America.
Yeah.
America or Ireland. I like a few locations in Ireland. I like a sound of a few of them.
I think anybody that's into the paranormal would love to travel around the world, to be honest. Germany's definitely on my list. I think Germany, there's some places I've heard out in Germany which would be amazing. Ireland, definitely. The Heritage Square in America, definitely, where there's supposed to be the most 10 haunted houses put in one spot. So you could imagine the energy and the atmosphere there would be unbelievable. Definitely the Octagon House that's there. For me, that's it.
Transylvania.
Yeah.
Come to Australia, James.
Come to Australia.
I'd love to. Are you paying?
Yeah.
I think if we went to Australia, it wouldn't be for ghost hunting, it'd just be for a nice break holiday, mate.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this. I talked to Jen quite a lot. She's from Hectic Paranormal. I was talking to her last night, the night before, Jen. I think she said it was something like 35 degrees.
Wow.
Too hot for me, that.
No, perfect.
That would be perfect. But the next place you went, and I was fascinated with this place. It was a really unusual location. Was the Williamson Tunnels. I found that location really strange in a good way because of the way it was built. You know, the guy had, you know, basically built on top of land to create new land, basically. And it was quite a big place, lots of dark, creepy corners and tunnels and what have you. What about you, Rox and Emma? How did you feel down in the tunnels when it was your turn?
I felt fine when I first went down there. I was really confident, thinking, yeah, it's going to be great. And obviously, I think looking back now, it was water or something that landed on me. But because of the echo in the room, it honestly felt like it was a rock thrown. So after that, I shit myself. And then the following night, when obviously Emma felt really, really bad, I was a nervous wreck. I think it put me so on edge because nothing like that's happened before. But it does go to show that when you're on your own, you do overthink things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, after episode 1, when they put me in that horrible cave thing, when I arrived at that location, I thought, oh no, not again. Don't put me anywhere horrible like that again. And actually, where I wasn't closed in, but it still felt horrendous. Like, I almost felt like I couldn't keep my wits about me because it was too big. So I was constantly like looking around all the time thinking, what was that? What's that noise? What's over there? Am I seeing things? And my anxiety levels there were not great. I just couldn't keep an eye on everything. So I was like constantly like looking around, trying to figure out what every noise was and where like everything was. And obviously there was below me, there was above me, there was around me. It was, I didn't really have anything exciting, but the atmosphere itself and how I felt personally wasn't a good mix.
They were creepy, them tunnels.
They were, yeah.
They certainly looked creepy. And I was watching them on telly. Andy's saying, Charlie, we'll use the phone excuse Friday night, Charlie and Rox. That's for the
the quiz. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Andy, Scott hasn't learned nothing. He's already told me that he's not learning for this, and he's not bothered because he knows he's going to lose.
Can you not keep anything to yourself, Charlie? That was saving confidence between you and I. And see, I know his Rox never said anything, but you did.
She's got it all written down.
Unbelievable. I mean, we'll see tomorrow night. We'll just see what happens. So the Williamson tunnels, that was kind of the halfway point for you. How are you all feeling at this stage? You know, you're halfway through the experiment. It's totally different kind of journey for you. How did you all feel at the halfway point?
I was exhausted. Mentally, I was exhausted. I thought, I don't know how many more episodes I can do of this. Like, I struggled at that point. And I thought, they can't put me in these horrible locations anymore. I just can't do it. And I was a bit wobbly and thought, I don't know, I'm going to get through it. And there was a few times where I thought, what if I just refuse? What if I just stand there and go, no, I'm not doing it? what will happen? Because I can't do this anymore. This is just sending me crazy. And it was, I struggled. I did struggle.
And what were you, Danny? How were you feeling at the halfway point?
I thought, how the hell are we only halfway through this? And we've got another half to go. And to be honest with you, I was just thinking, this is going to be so much work sitting through the edit of all these episodes.
Charlie, Ross, what were you? How did you feel?
For me, I think after Accrington, the halfway point was the turning point for me. Because, you know, through the first couple of episodes, it was quite chilled, mellow, do you know what I mean? And then Accrington was that turning point where, you know, was it my imagination running away with me? Or, you know, was it, you know, definitely paranormal? You know, I felt stuff happen in the cells. Somebody touched me on the back, almost as I could hear like breathing next to me. So, you know, for that was like, yes, all right, this is the turning point now. Now I'm going to start seeing some activity from places that I don't know, which was more intriguing, but it also gave me that kind of guard to put up, do you know what I mean, for the next location.
I don't want to say too much about the captures that you got. I don't want any spoilers for anybody who's no watched season 4. Did you feel at that point that your senses, etc., had been heightened? Obviously,
I think this series kind of shows how fear, which that's what it is, Project Invocation, how fear can make the mind run away. Especially when you're on your own. You know, this place we've been, there's this one time I've had my sight completely taken out, even though we're in dark places. It's that thought of having something over your eyes, so you definitely cannot see if your eyes are open. It's kind of, that's it. Then all your other senses heighten. You kind of get on panic mode because you hear the slightest things like, right, okay, hang on, there's something here, or is it me? It kind, your senses do pick up on
I'm
a
glad
lot.
I went blindfolded. That's all I can say.
Yeah, especially
me too.
when you have a sense taken away from you, you feel that vulnerability, and especially if you've been getting activity as well. Over like some of the nights was night after night.
Yeah, it was after the Williamson tunnel.
Yeah.
The next night we had the location, the Victorian part, and that, I think, going from one investigation to the next investigation, I think that was the worst for me.
Yeah, so it kind of plays on your
Yeah.
mind, and you carry that from the last one into this one, and it's a great project. Don't get me wrong. The idea behind it is fantastic because it does go to prove a lot of people in the paranormal. We do assume a lot. We do assume that everything is paranormal when we are on investigations, and that's not the case at all. Sometimes it could be anything. It could be the slightest whistle from a window that's got a crack in it. It could be floorboards that you could touch in this room and it could creak in that room. It's just things that we let run away with ourselves, and we assume paranormal all the time when that's not the case. And this was a great project to do to show the difference.
Yeah.
Andy's asking, what was the time frame between investigation? I don't think there was a kind of set time frame. Was it not just random?
Yeah, it was dead random. Like obviously with the Williamson tunnels and then the Victorian Underground, that was 48 hours. It was like a quick turnaround. But again, that was Nick and Alice trying to see how tiredness affected the imagination as well. So I totally got everything they were trying to do. And as Charlie said, then it was brilliant ideas from them to place us into situations that really were uncomfortable, and it was the slightest little things. So, for example, splitting us up. How does that affect us? Sending us on to an investigation 24 hours after the last one. How does that affect your imagination? Then leaving it a long time between certain ones. How does that affect sort of the build up to it, knowing what's to come, but not knowing when it's going to happen? So every little thing was pinpoint precision on how to do it. And in a way, it kind of took us back to how series 1 was, where not a lot of people understood why we did what we did in terms of using provocation and stuff like that. But it was pinpoint precision, again, knowing what we wanted to do and how we wanted to do it. But obviously this time it was just Nick and Alice doing it for us. But yeah, they did a really great job in sort of just trying to affect us psychologically as much as possible.
The whole concept, the whole idea, the way they did it was really fantastic. And they really raised the bar. And as you say, there was maybe 2 days before investigation, or maybe a couple of weeks, whatever. Emma, did you ever get to the stage where you dreaded your phone going?
Yep. I think I reached the halfway point and thought, what am I doing? This is just not for me. Like, I love the paranormal, but the lone vigils took it out of me big time. And I see myself as quite a strong person who is very skeptical and very rational, but I obviously do rely on the sort of energy from other people, and I didn't like the vulnerability about it. So obviously we're trying to investigate the unknown, but I felt like the unknown was investigating me when I was on my own, and I didn't like the feeling of what happens if something happened. I've got no one to feed off, so it's just me. And I think that's where I just didn't like it, and it's put me off lone vigils for life.
and put you off using your phone?
It's put me off. It's put me off lots of things. Yeah.
I just want to apologise. If you see my face pulling faces, it's because the Man United match is on. They're just winning 3-2, and my daughter's watching it in the silence, and she's going to me. And I'm like, shut up. So if anybody sees my face going,
we all fucking hate United.
hey, come on now. My daughter's just looked at me then like,
the footy's on. I know we need to wrap up for 10 o'clock, folks. So after you had you went to Victorian, underground, and then that the workhouse. What how did they two investigations go for you in your minds?
Well, I think the Victorian Underground speaks for itself. That was a horrible investigation.
Best birthday ever, Em.
And that was my birthday, and they made me cry on my birthday.
we didn't make you cry.
I noticed you got a caterpillar cake.
Yes.
Here we go.
Who bought the caterpillar cake?
I think it was Beck.
Yeah, it was. Beck.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why. You know, it's really. I started laughing because it was my birthday back in March, and Sarah says, "Wait," I said, "Well, what a caterpillar cake?" You know, if you asked her, whatever. And I never got it. And 9 months down the line, I'm still waiting on my caterpillar cake. And then when I was watching, you know, you guys, and it was your birthday, and the one cake you get was a caterpillar cake. And, you know, I says to Sarah, I says, "Look, Emma's got one. I'm still waiting." You know, but it was a great way. Oh, there's Laura saying stop going on about this cake. I'm definitely getting. That's 9 months. I'm not as if kind of. It's one of these personal crusades now. You know. Somebody said to me last night, "Why did you just go and buy it?" I says, "No, that defeats the purpose of what I'm trying to do. You know, it has to be given to me, bought for me." But would you say that was your worst birthday ever, Emma? No, the caterpillar cake, the investigation side.
Yeah, I think that was it. It wasn't a location that I liked, and I didn't like the location from the minute I stepped in it. I just didn't get a good feeling from it. So when I did my lone vigil, where I was stood, I felt vulnerable anyway because I was right on the corner, so I couldn't see behind. I couldn't position myself so I could see everywhere from where I was, and I just had this really overwhelming sense of like doom. That's the only way I can describe it. And it was horrific. And I didn't hear any noises. I didn't hear like footsteps or hear anyone speaking or breathing or anything like that. It was just the atmosphere in that corridor was horrendous. And I've never felt anxiety like that before. It was just horrific. It just completely overwhelmed me.
When that noise happened when we were setting up.
Yes.
When we weren't recording and there was that massive bang in that room, and I think because of that put me on edge. That made me absolutely shit me neck.
I think we're missing the point here. Emma, it was your best birthday because you were with your favourite people.
And that's very true. And I got a caterpillar cake, so I can't really complain. There's worse ways to spend your birthday.
Stick the knife in more, Emma. Come my next birthday, March. I'll probably still not get the blooming caterpillar cake. I'm probably never ever going to get it.
You'll have to send me your address, Scott, and I'll send you one in the post.
Yeah, I can post one to you.
And since he was a kid on the haunted fancy, he hasn't shut up about one. Daniel, was it your birthday yesterday?
No, I'm in February.
Stephen Webb says it was Dan's birthday yesterday.
February.
Maybe a different Dan.
Yeah, maybe. Yours
is just after mine, Dan, or before?
Just after, isn't it?
Yours is just after mine, isn't it?
Yeah, 25th I'm on.
Yeah, mine's 15th.
Yeah.
I'll write that one down. No caterpillar cake for Danny in February. That's noted. So after the underground, you went to the workhouse. and I went to Cannock Chase. The Cannock Chase is a place we've always wanted to investigate. What were your feelings about Cannock Chase? Did it live up to its kind of reputation, but you know, the stories about it? Or
I don't really know how. The problem with Project Invocation, like it was a great series and a great idea, but some of the places probably deserved multiple nights investigating them.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult to say no, it didn't live up to its reputation, but nothing really happened. But it's a creepy place, wasn't it, guys?
Yeah.
It is, like Dan said, you know, different locations do need multiple nights. That, you know, you're not going to see something every night. This is what a lot of people do.
Cannock's really big as well.
Yeah,
Really
so you go places and people say, like the Tivoli, for instance, a lot of people, you hear stories after we've done there. Oh, that's been really, really active when we've been there. We've had a fantastic night. We've had everything going off. And then other people said, no, I haven't. I think it all depends on the night, and that's whether you're going to get it or not. And that's the thing with the paranormal. It's never guaranteed. And, you know, a lot of people mistake that. They say, oh, if you why didn't you get this? Why didn't you get any evidence? And, you know, it's not the case at all. You never 100% guarantee paranormal activity on any night.
that was the thing I found with the tide. I mean, obviously the stories of black-eyed children, and then the man, the killer, basically in Cannock Chase. When he's with the four crosses, I don't want to talk about any of the evidence you got because I don't want to do any spoilers for anybody watching. But you got the name Leslie through at the four crosses, and that tied in with Cannock Chase.
I mean, that was. It's either a hell of a coincidence, or it's good evidence. But you know, the afterlight box that we were using when the word Leslie came through, that's built on phonetic speech. So, you know, it is bits of speech coming together, and it formed the word Leslie. So, like I said, you know, I understand that the skeptics think, oh, that's not evidence, but it's a hell of a coincidence.
Yeah.
You know, it was interesting, really interesting considering where we were.
It really was because it tied the two of them together in a way kind of thing. Your last location was Gresley Old Hall. That was a good one as well, I thought. Well, they were all good, but you get quite a bit of activity at Gresley, especially to the latter part of the night. And you get two amazing captures. The man,
to be honest, I'm not looking back now. I'm not surprised that we had an active night at Gresley because at the moment there's so many people talking about that location, and we must have hit it at a particular sort of time where it's currently a real hot spot. And even the guy there was telling Alice and Nick that it is a real hot spot at the moment. And I guess locations go through sort of those time periods where you can have 6 months where it's just really bitty and not much is happening. And then suddenly you get maybe like a few weeks or a few months where it's just constant activity. And at the moment, like judging by some of the things that I've seen online, people are having real sort of good times there at the minute. So looking back now, I think we hit it at the perfect time.
I think it was Rox. You done your lone vigil and you were quite vocal during it.
It was a fact of I could see things moving, but you do think to yourself, is it because it's dark? I don't know the area, but it was a fact of something kept moving. I thought, do I say something or not? And then I was asking questions, but I didn't actually want a response. So when the interlocks went off, I was like, no, it's fine.
You were quite. I thought it was quite funny, but that's just my sense of humour kind of thing. You know what I mean? Just before I come with you, Charlie, Emma, you get picked on that night.
Yeah.
I think we had 2 lone vigils.
Yeah.
What was the reason behind that?
Well, according to Nick and Alice, the little scientific approach that they took with me was because I'd technically been the most scared during the whole of the like investigations that they knew the history behind said thing in the loft, that like that's more for women alone, like when they do lone vigils and stuff. So they didn't tell me any of this or any of the horrific stuff that apparently has been reported there. They just said, we just want to see if what we've been told is true, so we're using you as bait. So I was like, okay, thanks very much.
That's a good way to make you feel good about yourself. We're just going to use you're the guinea pig tonight, you know, so you're getting in there twice.
Pretty much.
Darry, whose decision would now, obviously, between Ivy House and the Four Crosses, Nick and Alice turned the tables to split these up. At Gresley, you decided to return the favour. And you turned the tables.
What do you say?
First episode, wasn't it? We decided to go back.
It was planned from the beginning.
You sent Alice, I think it was up there into the attic. She was, or no, Nick was up in the attic, and Alice was one floor below.
Yeah, Alice was near to where Beck had that amazing piece on camera where the whole room shook, which seemed to be a real hot spot around that area. And yeah, Nick was right up top on the very top of the building.
Alice said on the camera that she wasn't used to investigating. She's always on the other side of the wall, basically, the other side of the camera. How did they feel about their little surprise?
Oh, they weren't happy.
We were.
Understandably.
Yeah. No, it's yeah, I think I don't know whether in the back of their mind they thought something like this might happen, but when we told them on the night, it was a complete shock. But I thought they coped with it really well, to be honest.
Because you could see Nick's face that he was kind of surprised. And I don't think Alice was too keen on the whole idea herself either, because she did hear a noise coming through the room and she jumped up and I would say ran away, but she went out a shot and then she came back again. I know we're limited for time. I've just got a couple more questions, guys, and that's it. Charlie, you were affected quite bad that night.
Yeah, I think it was after we had that first response from the male voice at the bottom of the stairs. After that, it was kind of like I got kind of angry.
There's only certain locations you seem to be affected. It's usually dark
it's darker locations. Like, well, so the team say to me they see my demeanor change when we come to places that have a darker energy, or a really could be a negative place. But there was one point like after we went upstairs a bit as well, and we heard the child voice come through, but we couldn't exactly hear what that was because we were upstairs. We just heard a voice, and we kind of you'll see me run back on the camera with a shocked face, like, oh, what the fuck's that? And then as we go downstairs, I think Dan says he noticed I had a mark on my neck. Or actually, I think that was after the voice on the stairs, wasn't it? And then I got really angry, and I went upstairs, and I said to Dan, "Can you see that?" And all I could see, and no word of a lie, was a full figure, a full body, head, shoulders, arms, legs, the gap between the legs. And I don't know why, for some reason I stood there and went, come on then. And then I seen it take a step towards me. And I was like, Dan, can you see it? And he was like, Charlie, I can't see nothing, but I could see it clear as day. And then it was like, that was it then. It was time to get out of there. It really, but I would like to go back there because I think that's something that I need to overcome. That's a personal thing for me now to go back to get answers and target that back. Like, why did I get aggressive? Why did I feel this way?
Because it was like, you said, come and face me like a man, and that's what I was going to. You just answered what I was going to ask you. What were you looking at? Because the way you were standing and talking, as if you were standing, outside challenging somebody.
But it was. That's what I had. My feeling was, my back's up now.
It's the same as in Pool Park when you were like, you can't hurt me. And then that
my back was up, and it was like, it's either fight or flight. And my mode at that time was fight. I had to, I had to approach it, and I had to call it out towards me, because how I felt, as if something was trying to belittle me or, provoke me. And that was it. I provoked it back. And it was weird. But whenever I left that house, it was just like a switch. It was just gone.
Just gone. I've got 3 more questions for you. One of them ties in with Martin's comment. I'll come to that after my next question. So when it came to an end, you've done all your investigations. Has it changed your views towards the paranormal? Do you think that fear can feed spirits, can produce activity?
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it's made me go right back to how I first started and become more skeptical. And I think certainly over the last couple of months, I've had this urge to just go right back to how I first started out and become very skeptical with the paranormal again. Even though the things that we've witnessed over the last 4 seasons and beyond that as well have been incredible, when you look on the larger scale of things and some of the stuff that you see online, some of the stuff that you see on TV, some of the stuff that you see on public nights, I think everybody needs to go back to a more skeptical route, because there's just some stuff out there at the minute that's really not how you should be doing things. In my personal opinion, I just see a lot of stuff out there at the minute that's just like, why? And even some of the techniques that we've used in the past, even though we've had some amazing evidence from it, I can kind of see why some skeptics look at it and go, really? So yeah, that's what it's done for me personally.
Right. What about yourself, Emma?
I mean, it's definitely shown some weaknesses as me as a person, I think. Not to do anything alone in dark, scary places. But again, I agree with Dan in that respect. I've always been skeptical. For me personally, if I haven't witnessed it, then I'm a bit like, yeah, okay. And I have to see either good enough evidence or repeated evidence of the same thing to believe. And I think that me personally, how I was during the whole series proves just how easy it is to think that you've got paranormal activity and it's not, it's you. Because there was a lot of times that I watch back now and think, God, I thought I was getting paranormal activity there and I wasn't. It was just me, and everything was heightened and I was so vulnerable, and every little noise that I heard, or I think in the Tivoli was a good one. In the room, I thought I was getting paranormal activity and it wasn't. It was me moving. But because I was quite erratic in my way of thinking, I didn't step back and go, oh, actually, is that me? I just thought, oh my God, it's paranormal. And I think that's the series has opened my eyes a bit to always question. I think the paranormal itself is such a fascinating world, and there's so much that we can learn, and there's so much that we've got to learn. And I think that taking a very skeptical approach to it is the way forward for paranormal, because I don't think that we're taken as seriously as we should be. And I think that comes to there's quite a lot of mockery for entertainment purposes instead of the truth. And I think that's where it's so difficult as a paranormal investigator for people to take you seriously. And I think that this series helped me personally as an investigator to sort of go, no, I'm right to question and not think that everything's paranormal, because I proved myself that, fear can not necessarily promote paranormal activity, but it can promote self-thinking that something's happening and actually it's not. You just need to take a bit more of a skeptical approach to things.
Yeah, what, Emma, that you're dead right on that. And also I think that I think we've been sucked into this kind of thing because we've had such incredible activity over the last sort of 3 seasons before this one, and mainly in Pendle. It's got to the stage where sometimes I think we want stuff so much to happen, and that when the slightest thing does happen, we automatically jump to, oh, that must be paranormal, and that's not what should be happening, really. But in a way, it's only because we've had such incredible evidence over the last sort of 2-3 years that's what it's done to us as investigators. Because I certainly don't know of any time over the last 10 years where we've witnessed such incredible paranormal activity as we have done in the last sort of couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. What were you, Charlie and Rox?
We're both different. I think for me, I've learned a lot about myself. I've learned where my boundaries are. I've learned that I do let my imagination sometimes, depending on the location, get away with me. I think for me, knowing the history of a place, I'm a lot more calmer going in. If I don't know where I'm going, I know that's going to panic me. It is mainly what Emma said. You don't realise how much you jump to paranormal conclusions until you watch it back when it's happening, and when you're in that room and you're in that situation and it's dark and you hear something, you do think paranormal, but when you look back, you think, could it have actually just been a noise? And if I would have been, say, in a room with Charlie or any of the team, would I have then looked at it different than being on my own? So I think I've learned now to evaluate everything first and then come to a conclusion.
Yeah, I think as a whole team, we are very skeptical anyway. We do a lot of, any location we go to that's not new to, or not old to us, if you get what I mean, our regular locations, we do a baseline sweep. We will, see if there's any unusual noises from pipes, floorboards, sounds. It could
Water
be rodents,
things,
water leaks. We do check for that because, we would be lying to the public to come on our
and that
nights.
from the noise of the thing, wasn't it? There was a grid there.
Yeah, we would be lying to, the public, people who come on the investigations, and like Emma said, for entertainment purpose, and that's not what we're about. We're a team who want to get actual factual evidence that the public can come or the viewers can see and go, do you know what? That's a great piece of activity, but they have also tried to debunk it first, which I think, as paranormal investigators, some out there, they will agree and they will say, yes, it is. You've got to take that skeptical approach. I think, I'm always wanting that little bit more. I'm not 100% believe in paranormal. And, we as a team have seen a lot of stuff, and a lot of negative stuff, and a lot of good stuff comes with that. But then there's also things that make you wonder, well, could there be a rational explanation for everything? And unless you can't explain it, then you have got to look at the paranormal side of things. And I think as a team, we do a great job of that. We have with every investigation we do.
I think as well, we have been lucky. We've been blessed over the years with the right place at the right time or stuff like that. I'm just reading that comment there, Scott. Don't know whether you can pull that up again.
Sorry.
Do you do EMFing for around baseline readings before you do investigations? So obviously, for those people who watch the Haunted Hunts Extra, they'll have seen 2 call-out cases. The first one was with Emma, Charlie, Rox, and Alice, and the second one that we've just done back in Pendle. In both those investigations, we're actually tracking the location for EMF poisoning, which is such a vital part in causing hallucinations and things like that. And sometimes it is very frustrating because you speak to some of these newer investigators that are going into the field and they're using an EMF detector to simply track spirit, but you should first actually baseline the location to see if EMF poisoning is playing a part in the whole situation. I don't think a lot of people actually understand that. So again, that's another thing that sort of we're trying now, I think, to educate people more in who watch us rather than just put something out there. And that's half the reason why we do put a lot of debunk episodes out there.
He's doing that, as I've said on many lives before, the debunking, he's debunked everything possible. As Emma, you said in the Tivoli, you thought you heard a noise, but it was actually, I think you took your hand out your pocket, you'd moved, you know. And so, you know, and you made a point, you did debunk that, and that's what I think is really genuine about you guys. You do debunk as much as possible, which is important. James Hectic Paranormal, if you get a chance, look them up, guys, because they done a live last Thursday about something called infrasound. I'd never heard it, but I found it really, really interesting. Obviously, we're kind of way over our time now, but I would give it a watch. It's about infrasound, and it is really, really interesting.
Yeah, infrasound can definitely play a part on your imagination and cause hallucinations, definitely.
Yeah. But just one more question, please, and then we'll wind it up. I know I've asked you this a few times, and I'm going to keep asking you, just the same as a caterpillar cake. Charlie and Rocks are coming up this end April, I think it is, next year.
Possibly, yes. Obviously, at the moment with the situation that we've just previously gone with my dad and that, we've had to go into funds and stuff that we never really had at the moment. So hopefully we can still get up there in April. There is, we do have a family friend member who lives up in Edinburgh. So, you know, she's more than happy. She said for us to go there. We can take Roxanne's nan because it's her friend as well. It gives her time, family to see each other. So hopefully, yes, we will be in April.
So Charlie and Rocks are coming up. When are the haunted hunts coming to Scotland? I know I ask you all the time, and I'm going to keep asking. I'm determined to get you up this side of the border.
I would love to come up to Scotland.
Hopefully soon. Hopefully.
I think
it's just so difficult, isn't it, to plan these things.
Put our heads together, don't we, Dan?
Hey?
We just need to put our heads together and organise something in the future where it's
difficult because obviously, these guys all have different jobs as well. So it's organising schedules, then it's organising sort of the funding to get up there and stuff like that. But yeah, I think we're all definitely up for it. 100%.
Yeah. I'll keep because I know, Danny, you on our previous lives, and I've got the footage to prove it. You did say that you would investigate our house.
Yeah, definitely. I would love to.
And I've got the footage to prove it, and I'm keeping that. Because I will, you know, I'm getting my car pocket. I'm going to get you guys up there. But we'll wind up. We're very slightly over our time. But it's, I'll just hold on. You said a wee second after we come up. But it's been absolutely fantastic. We've been looking forward to this live for don't know how long, and you know it's been absolutely fantastic. If you've not watched the Haunted Hunts UK, they're on Amazon Prime. Oh, there's 4 seasons and a 2-hour special as well. Season 4, Project Invocation, definitely worth a watch. As is all their other stuff, but definitely give them a look up. They're also on Patreon as well. Am I right? Aye, I'm right. I think.
Yeah. Extras becoming a really big thing at the minute.
Yeah, so definitely give it, because they are the real deal. You know, what you see is what you get, and they never disappoint. Season 4 to me raised the bar, you know, and it was absolutely fantastic. So that's it for tonight, folks. We're back on Charlie Rocks and I are on a wee challenge tomorrow night on Andy Murphy's channel.
You're going down, mate. You're going down.
No. You're going down to Loser Town.
Step back in the back on that Roxanne answer and everything.
As my t-shirt says, that Charlie, let's do this.
You get 1 point for that.
1. I don't care. 1 point. I'm a happy man. I'll take 1 point. I'm quite happy with that. Well, we'll wind up there, folks. So thanks everybody who came into the chat. And a major thank you to Emma, Rox, Danny, and Charlie. Sorry, Becky couldn't be here, but we do send her regards. And if you are going to watch Becky, major thumbs up on season 4, doll. Excellent stuff. So we'll say goodnight just now and take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye.